Jam Vishnupad Brahmans Parivaraj Gacharya Darshad His Divine Grace Abhay Charanar Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya, BBD Founder Acharya, save the whole world. Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Nidai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Divinity and Divine Service, Text number 4. Please repeat after me. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayamudiraye Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayamudiraye Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayamudiraye. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Nar Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Please repeat the translation. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Nar Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Purport. All the Vedic literatures and the Puranas are meant for conquering the darkest reason of material existence. The living being is in the state of forgetfulness of his relation with God due to his being overly attracted to material sense gratification. From time immemorial, his struggle for existence in the material world is perpetual, and it is not possible for him to get out of it by making plans. If he at all wants to conquer this perpetual struggle for existence, he must re-establish the eternal relation with God. And one who wants to adopt such remedial measures must take shelter of literature such as the Vedas and the Puranas. Foolish people say that the Puranas have no connection with the Vedas. However, the Puranas are supplementary explanations of the Vedas intended for different types of man. All men are not equal. There are men who are conducted by the mode of goodness, others who are under the mode of passion, and others who are under the mode of ignorance. The Puranas are so divided that any class of man can take advantage of them and gradually regain their lost position and get out of the hard struggle for existence. Srila Suta Goswami shows the way of chanting the Puranas. This may be followed by persons who aspire to be preachers of the Vedic literatures and the Puranas. Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless Purana, and it is specially meant for them who desire to get out of the material entanglement permanently. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nidhi Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Bhashadadejadarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Jai Srila Prabhupada. So we are reading this verse, famous verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, we chant every day. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. So the Srimad Bhagavatam has been said here, the very means of conquest. And Prabhupada is writing here, these Vedic literatures are meant for conquering the darkest region of material existence. Everybody is struggling hard in this material world to conquer. The karmis, they are working hard to conquer this world. Everybody wants to become the boss. Everybody wants to be on the top of the ladder. They're all working hard. And devotee is also supposed to work hard to conquer. So we are on a mission to conquer. So outside people, the materialistic people also, they have the mission to conquer. They do so many things in this world. But there is a difference. This famous story of the three friends. One time they planned to go visit. They booked the ticket, they went to the New York and they wanted to explore every possible means of enjoyment and all that. So first they booked a nice hotel, 5-star hotel, and that also that very high class suite. And they reached, they dumped all their luggage and they set out to explore the whole city. Whole day they were just roaming around, visiting the places, eating in different places, and they're trying to enjoy. And exhausted for the day, came back in the evening to find that there was a sign on the elevator, the lift out of order. So they are already exhausted. They thought, okay, because they took their suite was on the top floor, so 100th floor. So oh, this is too much. How do we go there? The only means is they have to climb the stairs. This what to do? There's no other option. So they devised a plan that while we are climbing up the stairs, we should share our stories, something interesting from our life, some adventure, so that way we remain engaged and excited, and then we don't realize that how long we had to go. So they said, okay, done. They started climbing the stairs, and then the first friend, he started telling all his stories. I did this and I went here, I went there, in a very interesting way. And by the time he finished, they almost reached like 30th floor or maybe 40th floor. Then the second student, the second friend, he started narrating his stories, all stories from his life, all exciting things, all kinds of adventure. By the time he finished, they almost reached like 75th floor. And then it was the turn to the third friend. And he was silent. And they asked, hey, you should also share the story. He says, what story I should share? I don't have much story. Actually, my story is a very tragic story. I said, no problem, you can still share. We like to hear some tragic story also. So my story is that we all came here and then we enjoyed the whole day. And then we are climbing the stairs to reach the top floor, 100th floor. We are almost about to reach the 100th floor. But my story is I forgot the key on the reception. Now this is a funny story that many times we keep hearing and keep telling. And that is the story of all the people in this material world. They're trying to conquer the world. They want to be on the top of the ladder, almost reaching the 100th floor. But then once they reach almost there, they realize that they forgot the key. So the key is here in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is the Srimad Bhagavatam is the very means of conquest. If you want to conquer, we had to take the shelter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Whatever plans we devise in this material world to conquer, to become the boss, at the end, the person will be frustrated. Prabhupada is writing here, if he at all wants to conquer this perpetual struggle for existence, he must re-establish his eternal relationship with God. That's the only way. Apart from that, anything we do, it will result in frustration only. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the means for conquest. So what is that worthy of being conquest? The two things we should discuss. What we should conquer in this world. Like outside, Karmi is also trying to conquer. But importantly, we should understand that what we should conquer in this world and what is the means to conquer. So we are understanding the means to conquer is Srimad Bhagavatam. But through this means, what is worthy of being conquest? What we should conquer in this material world. So Srila Prabhupada was on a mission to conquer the whole world. That was his mission. Worldwide mission. International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Vishwa Guru, he is on the mission. Prabhupada wanted to conquer the whole world. Meaning, he wanted to flood the whole world with Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada started the Sankirtan movement. He encouraged, inspired all his devotees, his disciples to go and distribute my books. And in one place Prabhupada was saying, and we know that famous that Prabhupada used to say that double it every time, double it. Prabhupada's desire was, in one place he expressed his desire that we should distribute so many books, so much books, that we should flood this whole planet with my books. And then we'll go to another planet to distribute the book. So that was his desire to conquer not only just one planet. Prabhupada was ready to conquer even another planet with all this knowledge, with all this literature. So one time Prabhupada was there in London and all the media came. One reporter was there. He was Indian, a reporter. So he asked Srila Prabhupada that Swamiji, why you have come here? So Prabhupada, in response, Prabhupada asked, why have you come here? So then this person replied, for better opportunities. Prabhupada says, me too. So, an ordinary person, for him the better opportunities are all this materialistic accumulation. Prabhupada is also looking for better opportunities to preach this Krishna consciousness. And as Prabhupada says, this country, America, is number one in the time, at least. Now, we don't know, we can't say. And then whatever America does, the whole world will follow. So better opportunity to preach. Start the preaching here, and then people will follow. So Prabhupada was on a mission that to conquer the whole world. This is worthy of conquering through this spreading Krishna consciousness. Right? Because devotees, they are very compassionate. Especially the pure devotees, they are very, very compassionate. They can't see the suffering of this world, the people in this world. And to remove their suffering, they are ready to take any kind of discomforts. Prabhupada very happily settled sitting in Vrindavan, such a divine place in Radha Damodar temple. And he was absorbed in his own bhajan. But the nature of a pure devotee is they can't see the suffering. So he left his comforts, his spiritual comforts, and took all the hardships, heart attacks, and struggling, and no money, and all of that. And he came here to help the people and gradually to conquer the whole world. So this is pure devotee's desire. What else comes to our mind when we talk about conquering? What we should conquer as devotees? What is that? Abhadras, Kam, Krodh. What else? Struggles. What is struggle? Struggle for material existence. You should conquer over the sleep. Get up if you are feeling sleepy. Everybody is struggling in different ways. So many things, but we'll talk about some of those things that is important for us to understand, that a devotee very specifically should try to conquer. What is worthy of conquer for all of us? Number one, starting from conquer our senses. Right? If someone says they are not engaged in the service of the Lord, then they are like the poisonous serpent. Right. So it is very important that we learn to conquer over the senses. How do we do that? Srila Prabhupada explains and teaches us the only way to conquer over the senses is to engage all our senses in the service of the Lord. And we learn that from the Amrish Maharaj. What is that verse? Famous verse? Savai Manap Krishna Padara Vindayo Vacham Se Vaikuntha Gunanu Varnane. So Amrish Maharaj teaches us that everything, every single limb of our body, our mind, our senses can be utilized in the service of the Lord. So we learn that how Vacham Se Vaikuntha Gunanuvan, or Vacha or Vani, should be glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, talking about Krishna, discussing about Krishna Katha, and then preaching about Krishna. That is how we engage our Vani and our senses. Harau Mandir Marjanadishu. So our hands should be engaged in Mandir Marjan of the Supreme Lord. Padav, Harikshetra Padanu Parvane. So our feet should be to walking toward the temple. And like that, he explains that all our senses should be engaged in the service of the Lord. This is very, very important. Then, second thing is we should conquer our mind. So Srimad Bhagavatam explains the root cause of all the suffering in this material world. We can say so many things. Oh, because of this person this happened, he did this to me, and that is why this problem, that problem. We are very expert in blaming others. Right? We find that how to put on others' head something that is happening with me. But the Bhagavatam explains, Nayam jano me sukha dukkha heto na devatatma na graha karma kala mana param karanam amananti. So it is explained, Nayam jano ye, all this jana, all these people, Nayam jano me dukkha sukha hetu. The cause of my sukha and dukkha is not these people. Na devatatma. Oh no, some devatas are not happy with me, so they are putting me in trouble. No, not devatas. Na graha, the karma, na kala. It's not because of some graha, some kala, some karma. But the root cause of all suffering is manaparam karanam amananti. My own mind. Samsara chakram avartayeteha. My mind is putting me into the samsara chakra. If we don't learn to conquer the mind, to control the mind, we'll continue to suffer in this material world. Right? So it is very, very important that we learn to conquer the mind, that the ignorance, the temptations, right? So these are the things that we should learn, and that is what is the sage's businesses. Should conquer the mind. Should keep trying to conquer the mind. One time, when this king, he was passing through the forest, and he met a sadhu there. And when he met him, he asked him that, who are you? This king asked the sage, who are you? So the sage says, I am the king. And this king was taken aback. Hey, I am the king. He is saying that he is the king. What do you mean you are the king? So then king started asking me the question, if you are the king, then where is your kingdom? So the sage says, Ya yasha redashe karmana manasagira nikilashu apyavastasu jivan mukta se uchchade. Means, he says, what kingdom you are talking about? I don't live in this material plane. I live in the spiritual plane. Ya yasha redashe karmana manasagira. Somebody who engages mind, words and body in the service of the Lord. He seemingly looks like he is in this material world, but he is already Jivan Mukta Sauchade. He is beyond this world. So he says, I don't live in this material space. I live in the spiritual space. He says, okay, so that is your kingdom. Then he asked, if you are the king, where is your army? You should have the army, right? King must have the army. So then sage replied, Titikshva Karunika Suharda Sarvadehinam. What is the last, the second line? Ajata Satru Sadhushu Sadhu Bhushanam. So a sadhu is Ajata Shatru. Ajata Shatru means he doesn't have any enemy. Says, why do I need the army? I don't even have the enemy. I don't have any enemy. Says, okay, if you're the king, then where is your treasury? Should have some wealth, treasury. The sadhu says, Yam labdva cha param lavam manyate nadikam data yasmin sthito na dukkhena guruna api vichalyate. So Krishna explains, Yam labdva cha param lavam manyate nadikam data. Once you attain that state of consciousness, manyate nadikam data, then I don't want anything. So what the treasury you are talking about? I'm already like in full. Atmaramasya manyo. Right, somebody who is the Atmaram, he doesn't need anything of this world. So that is the sadhu, right? So then sage started asking this king that if you are the king, where is your kingdom? Where is your army? Where is your treasury? Show me. So the king said, now I'm passing through the jungle. So the sage says, I'm also passing through the jungle of this material life. Right. So in that moment, this king realized that I felt so proud of my kingdom, my army, my treasury. It is just a sign of that, the vacancy in the heart. Everything indicates that something is missing in the heart. When I talk about the kingdom, means I don't have any sacred space to live in. When I talk about the army, it means I have developed so many enemies in this material world. I constantly feel threatened and protected. And then treasury, when I talk about this treasury, means there's no satisfaction, inner satisfaction in the heart. So I want to bring some satisfaction from the external things. Right? So it is very important that we learn to conquer the mind. Right? So the sadhus are the one who has conquered the mind. They conquer the senses, the sages. And that is what we are all on a mission to conquer the mind and the senses. Third thing, when Dashrath Maharaj met this sage, so the sage asked Dashrath Maharaj, how is your business going on? What he asked? That exact word? Yes. Aista punarjanma jaya. How is your business is going on? What is that business? Business of conquering over the death. So this is an important mission in this human life, that we had to conquer over the death. How to conquer the death? Can somebody conquer the death? We can conquer the death. How? Till we are alive, we are fully engaged in the service of the Lord, and the time after that, we remember Krishna Antakaleja Mameva Smaran Muktva Galevaram. So if that is achieved, death is conquered. So this is also another worthy of conquer. So we try to conquer the mind by engaging the mind in the service of the Lord. Mayeva manadasva may buddhim niveshaya. We try to conquer the senses by engaging all the senses in the service of the Lord. Conquer all the death by nicely engaging while we are alive, and at the time we remember Krishna. So senses and the mind, and even higher is conquering over the ego. Even more difficult to conquer the ego. Right? So we all have this our inflated conception about ourselves. I am this, I am that, I am so important. The ego is there. It is very important that we learn to conquer this ego. I am nothing. What I am nothing. I am so insignificant. And it is not an artificial thing. But to keep reminding, it might be artificial at this point, but that is our reality. What we are in this material world. We are nothing. We are insignificant. A tiny dot, insignificant dot in this material world, in the whole creation. But we think that we are so important. I am so important. I am the center of attraction. So that is what is the ego does. People are so proud. And then that is what is the whole problem. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches us that we should learn our right ego. What is the right ego? Gopi Bhartur Padagamalayur Das Das Dasanudas. So in Krishna consciousness, we are trained, we are taught to practice this. Das Das Dasanudas. We have to learn that it's not easy to practice this. It's very easy to quote all these verses. So many times we keep quoting all this. And many times very artificially we say, Prabhuji, I am your humble servant. And then somebody says something and immediately then the servant goes away somewhere. And it just vanishes, that servant mood. And then we try to boss over. So this ego is very, very difficult to conquer, but we should learn that how to conquer this ego. And then last thing that we discussed today is, many more things can be said, but we discussed 3-4 things. Prabhupada was on a mission to conquer the world. As a practicing devotees, we should learn to conquer our senses, our mind, by engaging ourselves, ultimately conquer the death, mind, senses, and then the ego. And through all of this, we can conquer the last and the most important thing. Whom we can conquer. And we should try to conquer. Should try to conquer Krishna. That is the mission. And it is possible. We can conquer Krishna. Alright. So that's the whole idea of Krishna consciousness. That we can conquer Krishna. How to conquer Krishna? Our Acharyas give us the guideline. Rupa Goswami explains that devotional service, the bhakti, the 6 characteristics of the bhakti, one of the characteristics of bhakti in the nectar of devotion is Krishna Akarshaniya. Devotional service can attract even Krishna. So we can attract Krishna by nicely engaged ourselves in a pure devotional service. And that is how we can conquer Krishna. Right? Krishna is conquered. We have many, many examples. We have the example of Arjuna. For him, Krishna was a driver. We have the example of Yashodamai, that Krishna was bound by the rope of Yashodamai. But which rope it is? The rope of love, rope of devotion. The gopis in Vrindavan, they made Krishna dance for just little butter. Krishna can be conquered. Right? So this is what Krishna is offering actually openly. He says, I am ready to be conquered, but you should also ready to conquer me. Sadhavo hridayam mayam sadhunam hridayam toham. Madanyatya na jananti na ham tabhyam manakabi. So Krishna says, Sadhavo hridayam mayam sadhunam hridayam toham. That all the sadhus, the sages, the devotees, the pure devotees, they live in my heart. Sadhavo hridayam mayam sadhunam hridayam toham. And I live in the heart of the sages. So you want to conquer Krishna. Krishna lives in the heart of a pure devotee. So we have to learn to conquer the heart of a pure devotee. Now how to conquer the heart of a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada? By following his instructions very sincerely. And by doing that, we will be able to conquer the heart of Srila Prabhupada. Yasya prasadan bhagavat prasado. Yasya aprasadan nagati gudobi. If Guru is pleased, Prabhupada is pleased, Prabhupada is happy with our seva, with our attitude, with our humility, then by Prabhupada's mercy, we will receive the mercy of Krishna. Right. So, the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is opening up the ways and the means to conquer. So, it is said here, the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest. And then in the further verses, Vyasadeva explains more about all that. And he started that Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, how the Bhagavatam should be practiced or read. Bhagavata Sevaya should be daily. So every day we read Bhagavatam. Prabhupada has taken so much of hardships to write these books. So we take out some time to read the Bhagavatam, hear the Bhagavatam, understand something, remember something, and try to implement in our life. And through all this, we'll be able to conquer what we discussed. Okay, so these are some of the thoughts on this verse. We'll stop here. Anybody has any quick question or any comment? Somebody wants to add something, any other things to conquer? What is that? Not sometimes, most of the times. We know the philosophy, Dasa Dasa Anudas, but to practice it is very difficult. That is what they explains, knowing and doing gap. So knowing is very easy. Everybody knows. You read Prabhupada books like few months, you know everything. You know whole philosophy, if you are a little intelligent. Right? Few months, 6 months you read, and you can talk about everything. You can talk about Ishwar, Jiva, Prakriti, Kal, Karma, everything. What is this material world, this creation, everything we can talk. Talking is very easy. But practice takes the whole life. And that practice can be, whole life is also, we can achieve those things only in the association of devotees. Otherwise, by our own self, we can't even do, even after one life. How do we practice humility? Unless we are in the association of devotees. We are sitting at your home, you are the boss, and everybody follows whatever you say, whatever you like, you do. Nobody is there to point you out. Right? And you think, I'm a great devotee. I get up early in the morning, I chant my rounds, then I do arti, sing kirtans, I cook, I offer the bhoga, I eat only Krishna Prasadam, I sleep on time, get up on time, and we might feel like I am such a great devotee. So unless we comes in the association of devotees, we don't know what anarthas are sitting inside. Somebody comes and says little point out, immediately the devotee goes somewhere, the demon comes out. That is what it is. That is the reality. Right. You are hearing this pastime of Narasimha. Say, oh, there was a Hiranyakashipu. Where is the Hiranyakashipu? People are thinking Hiranyakashipu is dead and gone in Satyuga. But when you read that 7th canto, then you realize, oh my God, Hiranyakashipu is still alive. He is not dead. Where is he sitting? He is sitting inside the heart. It just need the right trigger. Just little touch, right trigger, that press the button, Hiranyakashipu will come out. So we are thinking that I am a great devotee. We thought always that I am Prahlad. But suddenly you realize, oh, I am not Prahlad, I am Hiranyakashipu. So that is the situation. So all these things can be practiced in the association of devotees only. Right? Otherwise, you go and offer the food to the Lord, the deities. Something is missing, something is wrong with your cooking. Salt is less or something is burnt. Interestingly, deity doesn't talk to you directly. Krishna won't say, hey, what is this here? Salt is less. Krishna won't say. But Krishna says that through the devotees. When the prasadam is served to the devotees, people will say, hey, what is this you made here? Third class. Of course, devotees should not say that for the prasadam. But still somebody can point out, there is no salt, there is no taste. And immediately, he'll say, okay, if you think that you are a great cook, then you only cook. Now why you are asking me to cook? Immediately that ego comes. Right? How you can point me out. So for everything, this is the situation. So we should contemplate on all of this. And when we read the Bhagavatam, contemplate that how we can conquer over all these things. All these enemies are sitting. Okay, so let's stop with this. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank God, Premanande.